I imagine that you're one of the few games in town who has not had to cut funding. Has United Way encouraged organizations receiving money to begin more collaboration with each other?
Great question. Somebody put you up to that. No, I'm kidding. The fact is that several of us in the community have been able, and we actually took it out of our reserves, to be able to form a collaboration with the foundations, several foundations in our community, to work with organizations to help them collaborate, the big M word, merge. There's a lot of organizations out there, so it's very, very, very difficult to get people to work together. People have private agendas, but if we keep community and people in mind, it's easier. And we're having some success, the conversation. I think the economy, in addition to us collaborating and trying to encourage, if nothing else, collaborate on back office, collaborate on insurance, collaborate on whatever. I think there's some of the economy that has forced that as well. There's only so much out there that we can sustain. And so efficiency, low cost, efficient and effective responses to the needs and the opportunities is probably the best thing. And collaboration is what brings it. It's hard. It's really hard work. That's why we formed this fund to help with people, to consult with organizations. It's not easy. It's not easy in the peace game, but it's the same thing. Everybody kind of wants to run their own tiny independent empire, I call it. Particularly staff guys, you know. We have to be separate and we have to be different. And we've heard all the excuses. The fact is, there's a lot of synergy. And people that get along, it's much easier for. It is much easier for. But we have to artificially provide the opportunity for some help and advice for those that at least are thinking about that. I know we at our United Way have been able to forge a lot of partnerships. And part of the partnerships are saving money. We have a backroom operation where we do the payroll and check writing for lots of agencies in our community in Greater Cleveland. I think there's 80 or 90 that participate. They don't have to have their own finance and accounting departments. We provide insurances for a group of people, not just in health, but in risk and the kinds of things that will save an organization money. We've also brought together some collaborations where people, like the programs that I previously talked about, where they may not have, they kind of were thinking about it, but the pressure of the economy, the opportunity to collaborate, and keep in mind, it's almost like sports. And I love, and all the teams, by the way, in Greater Cleveland are engaged with this United Way, and I'm really thankful for that. Any of the sports, there's an objective, and it's to win. It's to win. And when we don't focus on the most effective, the most efficient, the highest priority, the people that we're trying to serve, the ones that don't get served, because there are people that are not being served, we lose. And so if people can focus on people, it's a little easier. It's still, you know, people come from different places. I've had to learn that. Our own staff, our own volunteer, everybody comes from a different place. So to have people work together naturally when they're running organizations is not always easy. But it's the right thing to do to ask a question, and I thank you for that. What can we do together? And as I said, one of my favorite songs, a little help from my friend, in fact, it is my favorite. I mean, what can we do together to achieve a greater result? That's hard work. Man, that's hard work. That's really hard work. You're dealing with people, and people are hard work. It'd be so much easier to, our former chairman, the most recent chairman of the United Way of Greater Cleveland, is the president of the Federal Reserve of Cleveland. And I can tell you it would have been much easier for Sandy Pianalto to allow me to go to the vault and just get the money. It's hard, you know. Sandy's heart said, I'd love you to do that. Sandy's head said, don't even think about it. So, but working together is really hard. But it can be fun, and we've seen it a million times. There's a million examples, whether it's in Health and Human Services, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, whatever's going on, it's about people working together, because the single path usually does not win.
Michael, on a personal note, I've watched you for those 16 years that you've been in your present position, and it's a joy to see how much of the energy and freshness you brought to the position at the very beginning is still very much on display. So I compliment you for that. But then I'm going to ask you a relatively hard question. United Way fits in a firmament of helping organizations. And at the most consolidated, sort of recognized, necessary end of that spectrum is the government. In our case, Cuyahoga County is performing many human services, and you interface with the county as you look to the government side of your world. But on the other side of your world, there are other entities, and I'm thinking particularly of Community Shares, which has tried to fill in a piece of the whole picture. And I'd like you to comment on how you see United Way as an entity that can't try to do all things for all people. It has to have a strategic focus. How do you relate to your neighbors on the two sides of on that firmament of helping organizations?
First, thank you, Rick, for your comments. I've known Rick for a long time, and I appreciate that very much. I try to bring that enthusiasm. Some days are easier than others, Rick, but because we have great volunteers and great staff, it's a lot easier. The response, I kind of made it a policy when I got there at the staff level, that there used to be fighting going on between United Way and Community Shares and others. I made it a policy we're not going to engage in that. That there's a role. If people want to fund what they do, there's a role. We've stood side by side many times. And even if we're attacked, and I use that word pretty educationally, we've been attacked by other organizations. We won't engage because it's one community. And when people understand that it's one community, it's a little easier to get along. Am I competitive? We're going to raise every dollar, but not give to me and not them. I've never said that. And it is one community. I would never say give to the United Way and don't give to the arts. Don't give to Community Shares. And I can say the word Community Shares, and they meet a need. But I will tell you that there is no place. We don't have the time, we don't have the resources, and frankly, well, I love to fight. Well, I love to be competitive, and I'm a competitor. I'll go after everybody. Keep your hands on your purses and wallets, everybody. I really will fight really hard because I understand it's about the people. On the government side, I don't pay attention to the politics. I look at it, again, as one community.